City of Santa Fe conferencing service. Please enter your 6-digit conference access code. Your conference call is already in progress.
It's practice for the next 2 weeks. So, I mean,
oh, really?
So we have extra care in the house, which is nice.
Good.
Daycare canceled.
Good.
Hey guys, we're on live right now, okay?
All right, thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
We'll call the roll in a minute. We haven't yet come to order, but just to be clear, we're all trying to stay appropriately distant.
I hope he's not talking to us.
And this will be broadcast through the city's communication channels.
Is this supposed to be live on Channel 28 Comcast?
Joe, are you in the room?
Is it really?
I thought. I was hoping to watch it as well as...
Hang on a second, we'll find out.
I hope.
According to Joe, it is supposed to be live on the
hear
city's
anybody
channel.
Have you checked YouTube? YouTube also broadcasts.
So maybe we can just, Joseph, a couple quick questions. This is live on YouTube and on the city channel. We're going to have a little bit of, we don't have the ability to see who's raising their hand to speak from the phone, so please bear with us as we try to keep things moving along, and allowing everybody to speak, but do it in an orderly fashion. Yolanda is now passing out a draft of an agenda.
How did your customer first?
And
are we supposed to be hearing that?
I have no idea.
Can you hear us at all?
On Channel 28.
No, we can't hear you.
All right. You are not able to hear. Why don't we do this? When everything is sorted out, Jesse's getting some papers together. Then we'll go live and take a check-in to see who can hear what. Then we'll go live, take a check-in to see who can hear what. Then we'll go live, take a check-in. If you have the ability to mute your phone while you're not speaking, that would be a good thing. It'll eliminate some of the feedback.
On the phone, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Aaron.
Okay, well, I just walked over to the phone. Can you put your phones on mute while you're not speaking, please? Okay, so...
And can you remind everyone there that there's a 5-second delay between real voice and TV?
It's called Chris.
According to Joe, it's better if you're not watching it on TV. It'll be in two different time zones. So if you want to just tune out the TV and listen into the meeting with just audio, according to Joe, it provides better real-time communication. And
We can't hear the mayor when he talks, just so you know.
You cannot. Wow.
I could hear him on TV, but not on my phone.
We're going to try to relocate the phone so it's closer to the council members who are sitting up here. All right, is that it? Jesse's reorganizing the phone. Is that any better, Renee? Apparently not.
Keep talking again.
All right, test. Can you hear this when I'm talking to you right now?
That's better. It's still very fuzzy.
Yeah, I believe it. All right, we'll have to do the very best we can with the technology we have at this time. We're working to create other technological links with other through our computers and elsewhere, but we also need to maintain our conformance to the Open Meetings Act, and so we cannot maintain a meeting that doesn't allow public participation and oversight. Jesse, is everything distributed at the moment? Okay. I want to first call the meeting to order, and if the city clerk could call the roll, let's try to get this started.
Mayor Weber,
Yes.
Councilor Beta,
Here.
Councilor Cassett Sanchez,
Here.
Councilor Garcia,
Present.
Councilor Lindell, Councilor Rivera,
Here.
Councilor Romero Worth,
Present in the chambers.
Councilor Vihel Coppler, here, Councilor Villarreal.
Present.
You do have a quorum, President Mayor.
Thank you. I believe, City Manager, are you on this call as well?
I am.
Okay, so in the chamber with us, for those of you who aren't seeing what is going on at the moment, we have our city attorney, and Jesse is here, having done a lot of work with drafting measures. Before we get to the consideration of the measures that are in front of us, I thought it would be useful if I provided a quick overview of this rapidly evolving situation with the coronavirus. Yesterday, I think you all saw that the governor put out a new directive that is designed to maintain as much social distance on the part of state workers as possible while continuing to deliver services. That is the exact measure that we are taking up today. Among others, we are seeking to produce a new personnel set of rules that will allow our workers in the city as much as possible to work remotely while accomplishing their tasks that their managers have asked them to undertake, and that will deliver the services that our residents expect. That is, as far as I can tell from reading what other cities and states are doing, the most fundamental step we can take to reduce the spread of the virus. It's why we're sitting at a distance from each other to maintain social distancing. It's why we're using Purell or hand sanitizer when we come in the room. It's why the city has gone to its flu protocol as we're wiping down different facilities and spaces like our buses and other buildings. This is a rapidly evolving situation, and I expect more steps will be taken going forward in order to continue to reduce the spread of the virus and to contain it where it has already where people have already been introduced to it. We have a number of steps in front of us today. We need, if the governing body so deems, to extend the state of emergency that I issued on Friday. That is good for a 3-day period. Thereafter, it takes a vote of the governing body to extend it another 7 days. We have a measure in front of us to modify our personnel rules to allow people, where as much as possible, to work remotely and accomplish their tasks. We need to appoint Kyle Mason as our local coordinator of emergency management. I believe this follows state statute. And then there is a measure to publish, which would go beyond the week-to-week extension of this emergency resolution. Aaron, is there something you want to speak to in terms of what the actual resolutions do and why, as a matter of law and ordinance, we're operating in this manner?
Sure. Am I audible by folks on the phone?
Or come sit at this chair if it's easier. No, too close to me.
Okay. Can the folks on the phone hear me?
Can anybody
Yes,
hear Aaron?
there's a delay.
Okay.
There's a delay and it's pretty fuzzy.
Delay and fuzzy, but you can hear if she talks slowly and clearly.
Okay, this is Erin McSherry, City Attorney. The first thing on the agenda today does require a resolution to extend the duration of time the proclamation of emergency would be in place. Our current ordinance allows that to be for 7 additional days, which would be through next Monday. You'll note that at the bottom of your agenda there is a request to publish a new bill to have the ordinance amended to allow that to be a longer duration for up to, I believe, 60 days in the case of a public health emergency such as this situation. So the first matter does extend that proclamation that the mayor put in place last Friday. It also includes the additional component to that proclamation to limit the number of persons who may assemble or gather to 50, which was a recommendation of the CDC that was released yesterday. There are no further changes at this time, but there could be. If there's any questions about the authorities under the ordinance, I'm happy to answer those. Our ordinance does allow for a number of other things that have not been put in place at this time. Those things would be like prohibiting particular activities that we find to be
I don't know about others on the phone. Aaron, I can't hear you. It feels like you're moving away from the phone.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. Is there any way that, Aaron, you could present closer to the phone?
Yes.
I just heard everything she did on TV. I know Joe recommended not doing that, but that's the only way I could hear.
Oh.
Doing that, but that's the only way I could hear.
Okay,
So, okay, I moved closer to the phone. Is this helpful?
Oh, brilliant.
Extremely
Night and day.
helpful. Perfect.
Okay. So, I was just explaining that the first matter for action on the agenda today is a resolution extending the proclamation of emergency issued by the mayor last Friday. I think the mayor mentioned this, but basically right now, under our emergency management ordinance, the council has the authority to extend that declaration for an additional 7 days, which would be through next Monday.
Est.
We're still working on various audio opportunities here. So let's see. I was just outlining that there are a number of other things that could be included as restrictions during this time that have not been opted into at this point, such as a curfew or prohibiting certain activities, but that's not included in the declaration right now. Right now it is a limitation to gatherings or assemblies of 100 persons or more in public places, including private buildings that are open to the public. But now the proposal in front of you includes, an extension of the declaration and limiting the number of persons to 50 in those same circumstances, based on a recommendation by the CDC yesterday that gatherings be limited to 50. And I'm happy to answer questions.
Are there any questions?
Aaron, Councilor Rivera, just wondering if there's any way that we can limit the delays in how we respond to what's being recommended, or are we going to have to continue with emergency meetings throughout?
Mayor Weber, Councilor Rivera, that's a great question. Probably the other thing that I did mention at the podium a minute ago that I haven't repeated is that at the bottom of the agenda is a request to publish a bill that would extend the period of time for which the council can extend the emergency declaration to up to 60 days rather than just the 7 in this type of circumstance where there's a declaration of emergency by the New Mexico Department of Health.
You faded out there towards the end, but does that give us the ability to respond on a daily basis to those recommendations being made?
Mayor Weber, Councilor Rivera, the mayor is able to add to what is ordered under the emergency declaration. Yes.
Thank you.
Are there other questions for either me or the city manager or the city attorney at this time about this extension of the emergency proclamation.
Aaron, this is Counselor Casa-Sanchez. As you're close to the phone, can you maybe translate what is being said? Because it's, with the exception of you right now, everybody speaking is kind of going in and out.
Okay. The mayor just asked if anyone else had any questions for either himself or the city manager or anyone else who might be able to answer them
About this particular resolution.
about this particular resolution.
If not, is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. If you could pass that on.
There's a motion and a second to pass resolution extending the declaration.
Okay.
Counselor Beta,
Yes.
Counselor Cassett Sanchez,
Yes.
Counselor Garcia, thank you, Counselor Lindell, Counselor Rivera,
Yes.
Counselor Romero Worth,
Yes.
Counselor Vihel Coppler,
Yes.
Counselor Villarreal,
Yes.
Mayor Weber.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion has been approved.
Thank you. The second item on the agenda modifies our personnel rules regarding sick leave and administrative leave to make it possible for our employees, as much as possible, to work remotely. Bernadette Salazar has been working with the directors to create a platform so that the different employees can identify whether they are or are not able to work remotely, and the different implications for our department heads as they try to maintain the level of service that we want to provide our residents, with a priority on the safety, health, and well-being of our employees and the residents of the city. Bernadette's here and presumably could answer questions with a sanitized microphone if there are questions about exactly what this particular resolution does to modify our personnel rules. Let's start with Councilor Abeyta and then Councilor Garcia if you have specific questions. I suspect, given what we've learned about our technology, you're going to need to come up closer to the telephone and maybe wipe the microphone, or you can hold the microphone. Councilor Abeyta, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. On page 2 of the resolution, item number 2, under the now therefore, line 18 says, as an amendment to Rule 13.6, the city manager may grant administrative leave. Is that paid or unpaid administrative leave? Do we need to clarify that in the resolution?
Mayor Weber, Councilor Abeyta, administrative leave is paid leave in our rule. What this does, currently there's a 5-day provision for city manager approved administrative leave. This would be beyond that if needed.
Okay, so we don't need to clarify that it's paid.
Mayor Weber, Councilor, that's correct.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilor Garcia.
Just a quick fix, page 1, line 20, where it talks about gatherings over 100. Did we amend that to gatherings over 50?
Good catch. We should be consistent. That amendment should be added so that it's no longer gatherings of more than 100, but rather 50. While we're in this room, anyone else in this room want to ask a question? Yes, Councilor Vihel Coppler.
Thank you. I was wondering if there's any provision, and I just got this, so I could be all wrong in my question, but is there any provision in here for granting leave when an employee may be out of sick leave?
Yes, we can speak to that. Bern, you want to say something?
Mr. Mayor, Councilor Vihel Coppler. This is awkward. Yes, we are working on an administrative policy to be approved by the city manager that will allow for additional leave with pay in the event that an employee...
Bernadette, can you speak into the phone if you want us to hear you?
In an effort to allow employees to continue to receive pay if they are out of sick leave hours.
Okay.
So that's a work in progress. This will be rolled out as we get more capacity to write up these new policies, but that will be one of the things that gets added.
So Mayor Weber, councilors, that is what this does, actually. The administrative leave allows for when an employee, they can't telecommute, they cannot, they don't have any sick leave, so they would be able to go on administrative leave.
Very good.
Can you clarify, Aaron, where you're reading that?
I don't know why Erin's the only one we can hear, but wherever her vantage point is, she seems to be the best situated.
I'm right by the microphone with a microphone. So line 18 through 20 amends the administrative leave section of the city's personnel rules. And what it does is allows granting of administrative leave to non-essential employees. That means they don't have to be at the city to provide work, who are also not able to telecommute in order to increase. So they would be not able to telecommute. So that is interesting. We might want to amend that to add and those who have run out of sick leave, to make it more broad. The intent was to be as broad as possible there.
So you would recommend adding who are not
Yes.
able to telecommute, or who have run out of sick leave?
I would say grant administrative leave to employees who have run out of sick leave and non-essential employees who are not able to telecommute.
Okay.
I'll introduce that amendment.
Okay, there's an amendment that has been proposed. Is there a second to that amendment?
Second.
Okay.
And I don't know if this question was asked or not. What about those employees that haven't earned enough sick leave as of yet?
Mayor Weber, Councilor Rivera, I think the amendment that was just proposed would address that type of individual.
Are there other questions? Other questions from the council members who are not present in the chamber? Is there a motion?
Move to approve as amended?
Second.
Just for clarification, Mayor, and that includes the 50 gatherings of over 50 are prohibited.
Yes, there are two amendments, one to reduce the number to 50 and the other to address people who either have not accrued or who have run out of sick leave.
Did we need to make a motion for the 50 amendment?
Aaron, can you please repeat what those amendments are so we can hear them more clearly?
Yes, councilors, there's two amendments that have been proposed. One is to adjust the reference to the limitation on number of persons in gatherings on line 20 on page 1, and the second to add the circumstance of those employees who do not have sufficient sick leave to the provision of administrative leave in lines 18 through 20.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion to adopt this as amended in its totality.
Councillor Cassett Sanchez,
Yes.
Councillor Garcia,
Yes.
Councillor Lindell, Councillor Rivera,
Yes.
Councillor Romero Worth,
Yes.
Councillor Vihel Coppler,
Yes.
Councillor Villarreal,
Yes.
Councillor Beta,
Yes.
Mayor Weber.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion is approved as amended.
Thank you. Our next item is to appoint Kyle Mason as our local coordinator of emergency management. Aaron, this is, I believe, in line with state statute.
Mr. Mayor, yes. This particular designation is a statutory recognized designation that would allow Mr. Mason to participate in a special role as it relates to the New Mexico Department of Health. So it requires a formal appointment by the governing body.
Are there any questions about this item? Yes.
I just want to clarify, I know this is an operational title, is that right? I mean, did you say by statute?
Mr. Mayor, Councilor Vihel Coppler, that's correct. The local, let me see, I've got the agenda here. Yes, that specific title, Local Coordinator of Emergency Management, is the statutory title.
And how does it align with the city's Emergency Services Director? Is it different?
Mr. Mayor, Councilor Vihil-Coppler, what it does is it requires the Department of Health to do certain things in relation to this person with the city. I have to pull it up on my computer, which I need to grab over here. But basically, they are not in conflict at all. I think they complement each other. They are not worded exactly the same, but one basically creates this person at the city where the state has an official designation for that person.
Okay, and then the second question is the Emergency Services Director. Is that, do we have that filled?
Emergency Management Director.
Management Director?
Mr. Ware, Mayor, Councilor Vihil-Coppler, yes, Kyle Mason has been selected for that position.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Other questions? Is there a motion?
Hold on a second.
Sorry, Chris, go ahead.
Should we have it specific to a name like Kyle Mason, or should we add some ability for the mayor to appoint somebody in the event Kyle isn't able to perform those duties?
Mr. Mayor, Councilor Rivera, the statute anticipates a particular person being designated by name or appointed.
Very good, thank you.
Wait one sec. I think City Attorney is looking at the actual statute at the moment.
Oh, thank you, Jesse. This is Aaron. Mr. Mayor, Councilor Rivera, the specific, and maybe Councilor Vihil-Coppler may address your question too, but the specific provision says the governing bodies of the local political subdivisions of the state are responsible for the all-hazard emergency management of their respective jurisdictions. Each political subdivision is authorized to establish by ordinance or resolution a local office of emergency management as an agency of the local government and responsible to the governing body in accordance with the state emergency operations plan and program. So we have done that. We created our office by resolution. Every local coordinator of emergency management shall be appointed by the governing body subject to the approval of the State Director of Homeland Security and Emergency Management. So we'd be submitting Kyle's name to the state's office.
Okay. Other questions? Anybody else from the council who is not present in the chamber? Councilor Rivera had a question. Other follow-ups from outside the chamber? If not, can we get a motion?
Mayor, can I just ask a quick question, follow-up question?
Sorry.
So, to Councilor Rivera's point, if Kyle were not able to serve, what
we would come back for another nominee.
So, is there any way to give you the power to name that person through the proclamation I'll be introducing in a bit, or no?
Mayor Weber, Councilor Romero-Worth, when there's a specific statute that addresses...
Can you repeat her question, please?
The question is whether we could give the mayor the authority to appoint a designee in Mr. Mason's absence. I think this would be very similar to, say, my position. The council would reappoint someone else, or city manager, that type of thing. We would meet, we would name someone else.
Right. I'm just concerned that we might need to have that person in place quickly, and just trying to give us some nimbleness.
Mayor Weber, Councilor Romero-Worth, we can look at it. I think it would be similar to any other appointment. At this point, we generally reconvene to reappoint people.
I think what we can do is approve this now and keep a list of these unanticipated potential agile responses in a variety of areas. We've asked the department heads to do that with their own operations. We can do it for our own operations as well.
Thank you, Mayor. I think we ought to look into that.
Other questions?
Couldn't you just appoint an acting director and then we come back and confirm?
Well, we could do that, but mostly this is, I think the question is running it back through the state.
Right.
We would certainly fill the position, but this is really conforming to a state request that we bring something to the state for them to approve. So it'd be a two-step process. Other questions? Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
There's a motion that's been made and seconded. Can we call the roll?
Councilor Garcia,
Yes.
Councilor Lindell, Councilor Rivera,
Yes.
Councilor Romero Worth,
Yes.
Councilor Vihel Coppler,
Yes.
Councilor Villarreal,
Yes.
Councilor Beta,
Yes.
Councilor Cassett Sanchez,
Jamie?
Councilor Cassett Sanchez,
Yes.
Thank you.
Mayor Weber.
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Thank you. The last item is a request to publish a notice of a public hearing.
Do I need to introduce this bill first?
Yes.
So, Mayor, I'd like to introduce an ordinance amending Section 20-1.3 to allow the governing body to extend a state of emergency in a public health emergency that has been declared a pandemic by the New Mexico Department of Health, and providing for remote participation in city meetings, allowing the city manager to limit public attendance at meetings, provided there's sufficient means to allow remote participation, and allowing the city manager to cancel any city meeting to preserve the public health, safety, welfare, and establishing an effective date.
Okay. Is there a motion?
Approve.
A motion has been made. Is it seconded? Okay, we have a motion. We have a second. Councilor Garcia?
This will be to have a public hearing on March 25th.
Yes.
And then Mayor Weber, all I think we're looking for is many alternative ways for the public to submit public comment on this proposal as possible. So we're seeking to have a centralized email access, a centralized phone number, and then encouraging written comment to be provided beforehand so that persons do not have to attend the meeting to get their voices heard.
Right.
Councilor Lindell? Councilor Rivera?
Chris?
Councilor Rivera?
I'm sorry, I'm not sure, are you calling for a vote?
Yes.
Yes, this is for the request to publish for a public hearing on March 25th.
Is this for Councilor Romero Worth's ordinance?
Yes.
Yes, and I'd like to be added as a co-sponsor.
Yes, sir. Councilor Romero Worth?
Yes.
Councilor Vihel Coppler?
Yes.
Councilor Villarreal?
Yes, as long as we don't keep using this kind of system, we probably have to go online to be able to conduct meetings, just so you know.
Councilor Beta?
Yes.
Councilor Cassett Sanchez?
Yes.
Councilor Garcia?
Yes.
Mayor Weber?
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Thank you. That completes the business of the meeting. I appreciate everybody. We'll work on the technology so that it's smoother and easier and more audible as we do this increasingly. Again, I simply want to reiterate that what we've been working on with our city manager and department heads is to, as much as possible, emphasize the need for social distancing to interrupt the spread of this virus. I think the next few days will be very critical and will be significant as we look at the cases in New Mexico. We want to do everything we can to interrupt that spread of the virus and at the same time facilitate people working from home to get their tasks done and deliver services to the public. Thank you all. Appreciate it. We're adjourned.